Okay.
So, good. It's just coming.
I know.
Yeah. Is it going to be signed with funds as well? Right.
Yeah, I'm like on the trip. Yeah, 402.
That's okay. Kia tau te mauri o ranga, kia tau te mauri o rā. Pai kia te turi pai kia te turi tangata. Hei pau ariki ia tātou I tēnei wā. Kia tika te whakaaro, kia tika te kupu. Tihei mauri o rā.
Sorry.
We go.
Only got as far as
That's all right. You guys know the words?
Yep.
Right. Manu tiria, manu tiria, manu werohia, ki te po te raka, katou re re re, katou mai te ruhi, e tau e koea. Koea, koea, ko tararauri ki mai maui e hara I te whitu me te waru e tau e koea. Koea. Tēnā koutou katoa, nau mai haere mai. Welcome everybody to the 2nd August meeting for the Spreydon-Cashmere-Heathcote Community Board, starting at 4:02, 4:03. We've just got a bit of housekeeping to get through before we get started in earnest. So the first thing to say is that this meeting's being live streamed on YouTube and recorded on YouTube. The camera's just up behind me here on my left, on your right. The microphone is in front of me. I've heard mixed feedback about how good the microphone is. Some people tell me that they can't hear anything, and some people have said that they've heard whispers at the back of the room. So just so that you're aware, this meeting's being recorded. And if you are coming to speak to the board, just to make sure that you project your voice so that the board can hear you and anyone online can hear you as well. So a huge welcome to everybody that's come here today. It's great to see a full gallery. I'm going to start with introductions, and we'll just introduce the board today, and we'll get introductions from people speaking to the table as they come up after that during the meeting. So tēnā koutou katoa, ko Callum Ward talking about. My name is Callum Ward. I'm a board member from Spreydon and the board chair. We'll go clockwise.
Kia ora, I'm Jonathan Jones, the Community Board Advisor.
Kia ora, Tim Lindley, Community Board Member, Heathcote Ward.
Kia ora, Roy Kennelly, Community Board Member, Spreydon.
Kia ora koutou, and Melanie Coker, I'm the councillor for Spreydon. Kia ora, Kia Beasley, I'm on the Community Board Member for Cashmere.
Kia ora everyone, so good to see you here today. My name is Will Hall, another board member for Heathcote. Thanks.
Kia ora koutou, I'm Lee Sampson, I'm a Community Board Member based in Cashmere.
Kia ora, welcome everybody. I'm Tim Scanlon. I'm the City Councillor for Cashmere.
Kia ora, I'm Emma Pavey. I'm the Community Governance Manager here temporarily, but normally based for Waipapa.
So thanks. Apologies for lateness from Sarah, who'll be joining us online. I'll move that apologies accepted. Tim seconding. Those in favour? Aye. Against, abstentions carried. Declarations of interest. Anyone stand to gain or lose anything financially or otherwise from any decisions we make here today?
Sadly, no.
Sadly, no. Maybe next time, Tim. Yeah. No declarations of interest. Confirmation of previous minutes. I'll move that the minutes from the 14th of August 2025 be accepted. Happen, Lindley. Tim's seconding. All those in favour? Aye. Against, abstentions carried. And now public forum. We don't have any public forum today. We have no petitions being presented today. Means the ones that you presented last time must have made it onto last agenda, so it's good. Deputations by appointment. So just a bit of a slight rearrange of the agenda, just because we're expecting the KBROC report to take a long time, and we don't want people who are waiting around for the CRAF report to have to sit through that whole thing necessarily. So what we're going to do is do the deputations for the CRAF report first. There's just a couple of those, just 5 minutes each, and then we'll have the staff report for the CRAF, the CRAF report, and then we'll revert back to deputations for KBROC, and then we'll do the KBROC report. So if that makes sense to everyone. Crap.
Crap.
CRAF. Yeah. No, I don't think we've got any crap reports today. So first up, deputations for the Strickland Street, Summerfield Street safety improvements. Danny Rouge, I think I recognise standing here. Yep. Come speak to us about the Summerfield intersection.
Great. You hear that?
Yep.
Right. Cool. Kia ora koutou katoa. Ko Danny Rouge tōku ingoa. Thank you for your time to speak today. With my submission I made on these changes, I'm in support, generally in support of the changes, as someone who is a motorist, a cyclist, and a pedestrian, and having lived in this area for, well, I just moved recently, but for a good 3.5 years, I do enjoy cycling quite a bit. In fact, today when I had to get my walk done, I went to reach for the bike by default, and then realised you can't ride to get it off. So what I really like here is that a better efficient use of space around moving underwater. I think that's really impressive. I think the speed humps, or whatever you choose to name them, are a good addition because this area is just a bit messy overall. I did chuck in a couple of recommendations, which I was glad to see got accepted, around extending the no parking along 141 Strickland Street. So there's a few, it's kind of blocking it a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, just blocking there, a few more extra yellow lines is great, and some more yellow, for no parking. This image here is actually one I just redesigned myself. I just had an idea around Colombo Street, because Colombo Street is again a bit of a cluster, but I was keen to know if you had considered having the cycleway on the far left, going up Colombo Street, just to stop. So it just feels a bit safer as a cyclist, so you don't have to cross 2 lanes and then have traffic cut across you again. I've had a few near misses in similar styles. And also how this might connect into future changes around the Southern Light Cycleway, and when that might happen. But yeah, and generally I reckon it's really good. It's a clumsy little corner, several corners, and I think you're never going to get it perfect. Also a big fan of the little median island there, because that little keep clear area can be, again, tricky.
Thanks, Danny. Appreciate your. Was that everything?
Yeah,
Cover off?
cool.
Yeah, cool. Got a question from Keir.
Yeah, so I guess, look, the question of whether we could move the cycle lane, saying that we did discuss it, so we can see it right from standpoint. Unfortunately, that place was, it's probably a little bit outside the scope of this project, and there is going to be a further cycle MCR progress. But given that we're not in a position to go ahead and do that, would you still see this as an improvement?
Oh, definitely. Like, it's the whole perfect be good thing, right? Like, we're at 0 and you want 10 and someone says 8, you take 8. So yeah, I still think it's really good, good changes and safer, and that little strip of protection. I mean, if that could have been extended, great, but I'm also mindful that it's better than what.
Question from Tim.
Yeah, but generally when we do something like this, we have a 12-month period, and then we review it, or the traffic team review it. So you'd be keen to be a part of that or be approached over that?
Absolutely.
Feedback, yeah, because it's a dog's breakfast, let's be honest, and we're trying to, try to fit everything in to help all people, because the businesses want parking in front. There's a gentle way forward, and I think that this is kind of met in the middle.
Yeah.
But I definitely think with the review in 12 months, it'll be a really good review to move forward.
Yeah, clearly be a part of that.
Okay, we'll talk to staff about this.
Thanks, Danny. Appreciate your time.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you.
Next up, we have Lindsay Sanford representing Tillman's Fine Furniture.
Hello everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to present today. I'm of the opposing view. I mean, I also agree it's dog's breakfast of an intersection, but unfortunately, although this is framed in terms of safety, I don't really see how this is going to make things safer. Basically, it's going to make things more awkward. I mean, as some of the submissions talked about, they said, most of the problems there are because of just lack of courtesy and things like that, as opposed to, I don't think this is actually going to make it safer. as I was quoted in the press the other day, basically, to me, this looks like a kid's Christmas card list where it's like, I'd like a pony, I'd like a this, that, but it's not actually thinking in terms of, is this actually value for money? This is spending hundreds of thousands of dollars of our ratepayers' money. And to me, this is a really, really good example of why our rates bills are skyrocketing, right? Mine's doubled in the last 7 years or so. And I do not think we're getting value for money with this. It's basically, it's cosmetic. I do not see how it's going to improve safety outcomes. In fact, if you look at the website Smart, whatever it's called, Smart View, I can see one incident in the last 5 years which said minor injuries. I don't know whether you can tell me about other more serious things, but as in, although it's an awkward intersection, there are lots of, tooting horns and stuff where people get caught up. I'm not aware of lots of deaths there or anything, right? And so we're proposing spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I don't think we're going to solve the root problem, right? And so is this a good use of our ratepayers' money? I would say no. And I would like to leave the rest of my time to have you fine people present the incidents over the last 5 years and how these things are going to stop those particular incidents from happening. I don't think they will.
Question from Mel. Thank you. Thank you.
So I just wanted to ask, is there any changes that you want to see there, or are you happy with the status quo?
It's a really tough intersection, right? I do not see how you can cheaply, like one of the comments in the one submission was basically to knock down Tillman's and actually align the intersections, right? And that's probably the only way realistically to actually solve the intersection. That's a very expensive proposal, right? And so I don't see that as being feasible. But the only thing I can think of, for example, would be to just block right-hand turns coming out of Summerfield, because you get a lot of cyclists who whiz around the corner off Colombo and quite possibly bang into the side of cars who are very slowly tooting across to the right. That's the only thing I can see where you would actually improve safety. I think this proposal is a waste of time. I do not see anything there that's going to actually make things better. I actually think you could potentially make things more deadly, because with the bumps on Summerfield Street, you're going to have a car turn around off Strickland Street onto Summerfield Street, realise that there are bumps, slow down abruptly, and that cyclist that's coming round at full speed from Colombo Street is going to smash right into their driver's door. So it's like, I cannot see how this makes it safer, and you're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on this.
Question from Keir.
Thank you very much for coming on. And I was just very much along the lines that have been discussed previously. So good to have that conversation. In terms of the specific question about crash history, there has been an additional minor injury crash in July 2025. So that was
So the great thing, you might be able to tell me some specifics of the incidents, because that Smart View thing, all it says is accident. It doesn't say, it was the cyclist's fault, car driver at fault, whatever. So will these proposals actually stop whatever that incident was from occurring?
That minor injury crash was a turning crash for a vehicle turning the vehicle from Summerfield to a northbound cyclist group. So essentially, the vehicle should have given way turning a cyclist that had the right of way. I guess the challenge with this is like, I'm not a traffic engineer, although I like to pretend I'm one, but I'm important. The challenge with any of these things is that making an intersection safer is really complex. Like that intersection is very complex. What the root cause of a given accident they you have obviously in this case someone should have given way, but why didn't they get away in this case?
And the changes going to fix that. These changes are not going to.
We'll have to leave you on that thought here because we're running out of time. But do you want to finish that thought?
Oh, I guess that's
just answer the question.
That's why it's great with an actual engineers we were talking about it, not me, but we'll come in and talk us through the specifics.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I would love it if it would actually solve the problem, but it's just not.
Thanks for coming in today. I appreciate your time.
I'm going to shoot, so
yes.
thanks. Okay. Right, thanks, guys.
So next up, and I've seen Anne somewhere. Oh, there you are. Oh, cool. And welcome up, Tony, as well.
Sort of bringing forward the staff.
So bringing forward the staff report.
Chris will at another board meeting, so.
No problem at all. Yep.
I don't have a presentation or anything, so that so I'm happy to take questions and who think you guys have left?
Yeah, and then Lee and Tim.
I guess there's been some conversation about rates and payment. Obviously, the report doesn't discuss rates and payment. Could you talk us through why that is? Why don't say that?
So under the financial section, so this is actually funded through CLAD, so Budget Regeneration Acceleration Facility. So which is money that has come from the government, so there's actually no impact on rates at all. So this project's not being funded by rates at all.
Oh, no, I've forgotten what I said, Lee.
That's the first part of my question. The second part was in terms of the contestable fund from government, we need to solve safety issues. So I'm just checking what the contestable fund needs of council to attract that funding. So we have to apply for craft funding, which is contestable funding. It needs to deliver safety improvements. So just checking how this delivers the safety improvements. A little bit like one of the suspicions earlier, just saying how this solves a number of the safety concerns.
So a few of the things that we raised in the engagement for this project were vehicle speeds and safety for pedestrians, people walking and cyclists. So we're focused on reducing speeds at the pedestrian crossing point. Two ways that's been done with the installation of the speed humps, as well as narrowing down that radius and sort of like to slow down. Also defining the space a bit better with the separated cycle facility and more of a gap, I guess, too, between the woman line and the cycle. So there's a few aspects.
In addition, a lot more green cycle lanes, so really highlighting the existing cycle lanes that are already there, and realising that that the major cycle lane will become clear.
Do you want to go? I've probably got a supplemental, but the reason why the right turn out of Summerfield wasn't progressed, because that was an earlier point as well.
So when they did some traffic modelling, it showed that there would be an impact on the smaller side streets, so the likes of Dunn Street, Fox Street. So people wouldn't go to get, so there'd be an increase on those streets.
Yeah, okay, all right, thank you.
Got Tim and then Will and then Mel.
Because when we were informed a while ago about there's a new product that grips the surface. Would this be an intersection? Because when it's wet, there's some pretty slippery areas here. Would this be one of the intersections that we could put forward for that treatment?
Instead,
No, with
that's
this.
an addition.
Yeah.
It's probably not one of the higher priorities for that, so we've tried to already reduce the speeds through other means, so they don't have to be turning at speed, I guess.
So when those listed priorities, those intersection corners, etc., when they're established or they're put forward, that's going to come back to the community board for discussion, because we will obviously have a list of our concerns and we'll marry the two or something.
Yeah, it's part of our minor safety program, so we do.
My last question: when we look at this in 12 months, as we do, the gentleman that just presented, so we will ask those, we will approach those who submitted. It's very poorly asked on my part.
Thanks, Tim. Will?
Yeah, sorry, two quick questions. I took one for the team and sat at the garden bar at Moon Underwater last night, having a look at things. Just wondering. Sorry. Just wondering, that curve there on Strickland, that's being cut in a bit. I'm just wondering about that visibility. I mean, it might have been Lee's question just now about that first Jota bar when you turn left onto Summerfield, and something Lindsay brought up about the visibility of that, coming, so right outside the garden bar where I like to sit. The curve has changed a bit. That's what's happening here? So that means they'll be able to see the Jota bar from Strickland.
Absolutely.
Avoiding nose to tail.
Great.
Yeah.
and then the curb is coming out as you come round onto Summerfield. So it improves sightlines for pedestrians because you're bringing them out further into Summerfield Street, and also working with Moon Underwater to adjust their, currently where their sort of glass wall is sort of coming round on an angle, and we're working with those guys, and they're going to reconfigure their garden bar area.
Yeah. So that was, there was a couple of people that mentioned that. Will they be able to see the Java bar?
Yeah.
They should be able to see the Java bar.
And that will be ensured with our guys that do the design, 3D detailed design about tracking visibility.
Cool. And the other one I noticed was this median island you're going to put in. A lot of people cutting over and crossing the line.
And that was the feedback when we met with Moon Underwater, he raised that and asked that that was an addition following having a conversation.
Should that be longer for no more cost?
We could look at through detailed design if we could make it a bit longer. Yeah, because it's definitely the gentleman was saying how they do come in and then quickly try and drive up the wrong side.
I went at rush hour, which happened to be happy hour, but so it's worth it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely sit there and watch.
Good questions, thanks, Will. Mel, and then I think Tim's indicated he wants to move.
So in terms of monitoring in say a year, what would you be, how would you measure that, I guess, that there's been an improvement in safety or not?
We would probably do a few speed counts, as well as get feedback. And do our own observations.
Final question from here.
This, I guess, is a question about, if we go ahead and approve this, obviously one of the concerns Lindsay raised was about impacting on the business in terms of the, disruption and stuff. So I guess on a two parts is how much disruption do you anticipate this work also, and what would we do? What would we do to make sure that businesses are being
Yeah. So when I read his submission, I noticed that he was concerned about construction impact on his business. So I did check with our contractor who's been engaged to do all our projects, and so they said at the very most it would only be 2.5 weeks worth of work, but it's probably more like only a week and a half worth of work. The contractor we use for our work in this area has a really good comms team as well, and with it being within a business area, they may even look at night works as a possibility of doing some work at night to lessen the impact on that area. So that will be definitely taken into account when we do construction. We look at the environment that we're working in this case it's a business environment and also a school environment. So that's all taken into account on how they plan to do their work and what sort of measures they put in place. But definitely the contractor we have engaged has really good comms people. So
yeah, thanks. And yeah, really impressed with the work you've done so far in terms of engaging the local businesses, particularly Moon Underwater. Yeah. Tim, you've indicated you'd like to move.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you have a seconder? Yeah. What's Mel? No? Mel's seconding? All right. Move to debate. Anyone want to? I'll ask start to see that from the table.
thank you.
Yes. Tim, did you want to speak to that? Yep.
Look, this is not a silver bullet. Don't even expect it to be. This is a really complex intersection, which is getting harder because of the infilling, and it's a big problem in all of this area. If we wanted to solve the problem, the only real way we could do that is close off Summerfield Street. But then where are all those cars going to go? They are going to go in rat run. We're already having trouble and safety around school children, Summerfield Street and others, which will be the streets that these extra vehicles will be using to rat run. So we're just moving the problem. So let's try and solve it. It's not a silver bullet. I think our staff have done the best they can with what we've got. It's great that the government gave us the craft money and we are using it for this. So in 12 months' time, hopefully, we will have some positive return from this, from those that have submitted. Maybe even Lindsay, we don't know, but I'm sure he'll find me and track me down. But we've got to do something. This is a good way forward, and I want to thank staff for their communication with the local community for it. It's been great, so thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
I obviously I guess this is not, as Tim says, not a silver bullet. It is not going to address every problem that this intersection has. We're really aware that in the long run there is a much more substantial bit of work coming down Strickland and down Colombo that's likely going to make probably quite substantial changes. So in some ways, a lot of the suggestions that people have made weren't able to be captured in this, which is great to see them come back. I guess, look, I use this intersection, well, every day, basically, one way or another. Sometimes multiple times a day, sometimes coming home for the water. So I'm a little bit selfish in that I'm actually, but also, you know, I was just walking through there as I was driving the other day, and I saw, you know, someone taking their kid to school on the bike, and I just thought, look, we've got an opportunity to make this safer for that person, and I couldn't go past that. So I appreciate it's not perfect, but it does, as Danny said, you know, it moves us a bit further forward. And I expect that I'll, like several of our colleagues from Cashmere, we'll get to have some robust conversations with the Westmoreland residents, but look forward to that.
Thank you, members, yes.
All right. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against, abstentions carried. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Sure. All right, I want to go. Yeah, awesome. Okay. So now we're here, we're moving back to deputations. So the next thing that's going to happen is a chance for the public to come and speak to the board about the Cave Rock report. Just want to fill in a bit of background before we begin. In August 2022, former Linwood Central Heathcote Community Board agreed to conduct a consultation with the community on the deed of accessibility in respect of the lights on the installation at Cave Rock, at Tuaweta, Cave Rock. Specifically the configuration of the mast lights and the number of occasions the lights are illuminated, and report back to the board the outcome of the consultation. So that's the outcome of that consultation is this report here today, and staff have come with some recommendations, which I'm sure you have read. And that's why we're here today. The scope of the report. So I just want to make this really clear before we start about the scope of what we're talking about today. The scope of the report is the operating hours, the frequency and the configuration of the lights on the mast at Cave Rock. Any questions about the suitability of or the performance of the deed holder are inappropriate and irrelevant. The deed holder has performed and complied with their legal obligations under the deed. The board's delegation, so the community board has delegated authority to grant leases or licenses for a maximum term of 35 years, grant extensions, enter into variations, etc., or cancel, or to enforce the terms. And the effect of the deed is to provide a license so that the deed comes with, so the deed comes within our delegations is what I'm trying to say. A bit about how this meeting is going to run. This part of the conversation is going to run. Obviously, we have strong views on both sides of this conversation. And the main thing that it's all of our job to do is to remain respectful. As the chairperson, I have the discretion to decline to hear or to terminate at any time a deputation where someone is criticising specific people, including elected members or staff. Now, that's not to say you can't express frustration or anger or disappointment. That's perfectly fine. You can say those things, but when it gets personal, that's when I'm going to shut it down, and that's the line that we really have to all draw in the sand today. I also am likely to interrupt you if you're repeating views verbatim presented by an earlier deputation. If you're going off topic, not speaking to the thing we're actually discussing here today, the scope that I mentioned before, or generally being offensive, and yeah, so a bit of a sort of a stroppy start to that conversation. Apologies for that. I know that we're going to have lots of really constructive and helpful feedback as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this part of the meeting. It's always great when the public come in and we're able to have this conversation with elected members. The other thing I'll ask as well, because we follow standing orders in this setting, and that's not a very familiar set of rules for everybody, which is totally understandable. But if you are coming to speak to the board, you are required to sit at the table and speak to the board, rather than sort of standing at the side of the room and grandstanding to an audience, so to speak. So we're here today to talk to the board about the report that's on the table, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'll call up in order here. First up, oh yes, thank you. And we've also got a 5-minute timer up there. So the 5 minutes is the allotted speaking time for everybody, just because of the number of people that have come to speak today. That 5 minutes includes time for questions and back and forth with the board. And speaking honestly, I think that the conversation with the board is often the most valuable part of a presentation. So I do encourage you to leave a bit of time at the end of our presentation for questions from the board. Otherwise, I'll have to end it and we won't get that opportunity. So, having covered all that off, first person I'll call up is Alistair Maitland-Stewart. Is Alistair here? Okay. I'll call again at the end in case he's taking a break. After that, Brian Johnston. Is Brian Johnston here? Oh, yeah, welcome. Come and join us at the table. And we'll begin the timer when you're ready. Just in the middle chair there. Or that's fine. You're talking to the board today. Yeah. Yep.
What the rules here, guys?
Yes. Yeah. It's a bit hidebound around here. Starting. Yeah. Go for it.
I've started already. On the home. On the sofa. This is Cave Rock lights. Configuration of the lights at Cave Rock is an Admiralty cross. There's a lot of discussion. It's not symbolic of the Christian cross. I think we've got to get that. Argue similar to a child's kite. If a Christian wishes to view the mast as a Christian symbol, they're free to do so, and they're allowed to be wrong. As simple as that. If a person views the mast as a Christian icon and is offended, their claim is bogus. It's an Admiralty cross. A person of a religion other than Christian has no reason to be offended. We're actually in a Christian country. An atheist has no grounds to be offended. That claim is also bogus. It's an Admiralty cross. The suggestion a few lights could be removed to make all arms the same and turning the cross into an addition sign is madness. That suggestion has to be ignored. Now we come down to a little bit more about my views, which is I view it as an Admiralty cross. I'm aware of the similarity to a Christian or Knights Templar cross. So be it, I'm not offended. I wish to see the cross remain as it is. I wish to see the hours extended from dawn to dusk, more in line with Admiralty hours. The lights do not need to be switched off or Matariki. It's a safety beacon. It has to be on all the time. I have spoken to people who live close to the mast. Their comments were they appreciate the mast and receive comfort. The Cave Rock lights are unique and should be kept. I often look out in the evening and view the lights and also receive a sense of comfort. I'm sure people driving back to Sumner after work in the evening or late at night look at the lights as a welcome home. The lights are a wonderful thing. There are not many suburbs or towns that are fortunate to have such a beacon. You look at all the other suburbs in Christchurch, other towns around New Zealand, how many of them have got something a little bit similar? This is pretty special. It's a shame it's not larger. I would like to see a couple more crosses put in. I'd like to see one up on Scarborough Hill overlooking the ocean. Ships coming home, they could look at a boat coming back into shore. They would see that they're coming back a bit later. And it'd be nice to see a nice big one up at the back of the valley, overlooking the whole of stuff. I think we've got to get into the spirit of this, guys. Build on it. Go bigger. The other one could go up along Summit Valley. Any questions here?
Would those crosses all be Admiralty crosses?
Yeah, all three Admiralty crosses.
All right. Question from Tim.
What about adding lights to it? Because I saw in the submission there are 118 people would like to see more lights on it, rather than removing lights, adding lights to it. I don't think we need more. It's a nice shape as it is.
Question from Mel.
Is there an Admiralty cross? I was trying to look it up and it's not really in Google actually, which is surprising.
So looking here's man.
No, I'm just, I've never heard.
That's an anchor.
That's what it says.
Yeah, I know.
So I was just wondering if that's the thing, because it actually, I couldn't find it.
Think of a mast on a yacht.
We're out of time, but thank you for your presentation, Brian. Appreciate your time.
Very much.
Yeah.
Did I go over? Was that exactly right?
It was about bang on. It was Mel pushed you over the limit. That's not your fault.
I do it.
Yeah. No. All right. We'll have is Leslie.
Yeah, yes.
Is Leslie Murdoch here? Leslie? Oh, yep, welcome up, Leslie. And we'll maybe just start once she's set up.
Found a little case. Kia ora.
Leslie.
Thank you very much for the time allocation and the ability to talk to the mast and the lights and acknowledge in the room with me, because not only am I representing myself, I'm representing the 70 strong Scarborough dipping group, which contrary to popular belief is not a right wing not. We just love dipping in cold water. And my oldest mate at the back, Jan Rogers, actually for our oldest female dipper is with me, and it's lovely to have the Reverend Mike Hawke in the room as well. So that's lovely to see him, only in the cricket context, because he loves cricket and so do I. Used to be the chaplain for New Zealand. Anyway, thank you for the time to speak. The positives, I cannot agree with the recommendations that have been put. I don't know Brian, but I agree with a lot of what he said. I would hate to think that we have less hours with the cross. And I think there could be a room for expansion of the light bulbs. Now, one of the reasons I bring Scarborough Dippers into the conversation is that as a group in July, we dip every day and we put money in the kitting every day we dip, and we have to prove we dipped. And we stay in for a minute for every degree. And the money that we raised helped pay for the bulbs that go on that mast. So we have got an invested interest in the mast itself, and I have been given permission by the group to say that I represent them in saying, we love the cross, we love it, we have no association with any religious group or anything, but we just love it. So that's why we put our money into that. It's a thrill for me to see that mast lit up. I do come in and out of the suburb, and especially at night. Coming back the other day, our Redcliffe's Table Tennis Club has to go up to St Augustine's Church off Dyers Pass Road. We come back and see a lot more illuminated signs around Cashmere than what that cross is. So that's what we love, the cross. The mast and the lights, for me, symbol of rejuvenation. The seaside suburb of ours, after the February-June quakes and the 13,000 that we endured, we personally, Tim and myself, lost our family home. We had destruction to overcome. It may sound trite to you, but truly for me, the lights in all their glory gave us hope that we could get through this devastating period. And every time I come into summer, I see that light, and it reminds me of how far we have come as a suburb. We didn't even have a road that we could go down, that road between. Those lights have, or the mast itself has survived the passage of time. The sailors, when they put it in the 1860s, it was there for them to show them how to get over the very treacherous Sumner Bar. That is the original, and it's luckily in the book that I've got, Rescue. It's a history of the Sumner lifeboat, and it talks about the early days and the number of shipwrecks and everything in there. So, you know, the history is really important to me. My husband is born and bred Sumner person. His paternal grandparents came down from Napier in 1931 and have lived there ever since. I've been fortunate to live there for 45 years as a Sumner resident. I think they could be enhanced. I agree with you, Tim. I think they could easily be enhanced, pushed out, up higher and on longer. That is what I would love. I honestly think with the divide in the community now with this, and look, I agree, we live in a Christian country. I don't go to church, but I kind of think that we've all lived by the 10 Commandments. And I think that the mask can be whatever you want it to be. It's in the eye of the beholder. If you want it to be a cross, it can be a cross. But if it is essentially, the history books tell us it is a mask. Maybe in is that great? It is in the eye of the beholder. History and heritage will show this unique feature of Sumner is a symbol that is embroidered on our children's shirts at some school and Star of the Sea and all the sports clubs. It's on there. And it's a beautiful vision. We love it. The Scarborough Dippers love it. My family loves it. The majority of our submitters love it. And I would like to see the mast return to its proper shape, illuminated. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Lucy. It was being on time. So next up, we did have Carmen Hammond, but she's, yeah, Carmen Hammond's unwell and unable to attend. She was very upset to not be able to make it today. Dave Diggs. Dave, welcome to the table.
I think it's glorious across. We've seen out a calendar at Christmas time over 2,000 publications, and the front page had the tape off with the cross on it or whatever you like to call it. And it's fantastic response from people across the country about what a spectacular picture. You drive to summer and you go around the corner at what the was used to be, and see that light lit up. It's absolutely immense. But the bit that really confused me, maybe you just correct me if I'm wrong, is why do the council staff ignore the public support? Why do they make a recommendation against the 80% that support this? I don't know. I'm not used to politics. But it just seems amazing that we're even here with all the cops of running these submissions, and the people who made these submissions overwhelmingly support. It's just going to any further. I just don't know why.
Yeah. I mean, and staff can speak to that as well. I mean, I think one of the things that came through really clearly was the support for the lights in the submissions, and staff not recommending that the lights be removed. That's not the recommendation. They are recommending some changes, and we can go into a bit of the detail with them as well when they come to speak to the report. So we'll ask that question for you. I noticed Keir also get a response to that too. I think.
No, this was, I guess, look, payment, like one of the great things in decision making like this is staff advice. That's their role. They give us advice, and the elected members don't have rights, so we need to make a decision. So it's our responsibility to assess, that stuff. Staff advice, we decide. One of the suggestions that's in the report is adjusting the hours, and I guess trying to look at. I understand that one of the challenges is that there are people who, have a challenge around lighting. The BTN members' suggestion, particularly over winter, to reduce hours from 11 to 9, which is, I guess, 2 hours less. What would be your kind of thoughts on that? As I see, that might address some people's direct challenges.
They should be on from dawn to dusk, including that really. Why not?
Yeah.
Thank you. This is what I was.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add? Okay, thank you for your time, Dave. Yes. David Lynch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My request to make the deputation came quite late, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here. As you know, I'm David Lynch. I am the principal of Momentous Public Relations, a consultancy dedicated to advancing purposeful, transparent, and effective communications across New Zealand's civic and commercial landscape. For over 3 decades, I've worked at the intersection of public messaging, stakeholder engagement, and strategic advocacy. My professional journey has been shaped by a deep commitment to helping communities, businesses, industry bodies, and individuals navigate the complexities of local and central government engagement, not just here in Christchurch, but further afield. With advising on policy positioning, facilitating dialogue between sectors, or crafting communications that resonate with diverse audiences, my focus has always been on fostering, like you, trust, clarity, and impact. And what I do, and I'm sure we share that similar goal. At Momentous, we champion integrity-driven messaging and collaborative problem solving. And I take.
Sorry, David, is this relating to the report on the table?
Well, I'm just giving some background to why.
Okay, yeah.
I asked for this report to be removed today. I'll go through.
Right, okay, yeah.
The matter before you is deeply disappointing that the request I submitted to the Mayor and CEO earlier this afternoon seeking the withdrawal of the item from today's agenda and deferral of the vote until an independent legal advice has been obtained was declined. In fact, I haven't even had a response, and you all have received, as a courtesy, a copy of that letter. I noted a preliminary legal consultation undertaken to support the preparation of my deputation revealed serious legal, procedural, and ethical concerns with regards to the report. These issues warrant immediate and thorough scrutiny and relate to the fact that no vote should proceed until legal advice has been obtained and sought with respect to the matters I raised. That has been ignored. You've all been provided with a copy of the letter, and in summary, the critical review sets out a number of matters. I believe the report before you is ultra vires, beyond lawful authority of this council, due to the apparent disregard of the key provisions of the Local Government Act. Procedural impropriety, breaches of consultation principle, section 82 of the Act. The report appears to exclude or marginalise 84% of the public submissions, including omitting the most supported option to do nothing. This raises serious questions in respect to section 82 and could lead to issues around transparency, accessibility of information, genuine input from the public, and proper consideration of submissions in decision-making. Disregarding the dominant public view without explanation risks undermining integrity of the consultation process, in my professional experience, and may signal predetermination or bad faith. While not automatically unlawful, such omissions compromise procedural fairness and erode public trust. Failure to uphold the statutory process should be of concern to you. The Local Government Act defines the purpose of the local government as enabling democratic decision-making by and on behalf of communities. Any process that misrepresents or ignores public input directly contravenes this purpose. This is not a minor oversight. It reflects institutional and systemic arrogance and is a troubling disregard, in my view, for democratic accountability. So what are the risks? You do face, if the community is of the will, a judicial review if you proceed. You will probably get a complaint going to the Ombudsman. And of course, strategic public and media scrutiny. Has this council not learnt the errors of Earwood Road, Cycleway, or Park Terrace? Apparently not. Such outcomes are avoidable, but only if this board acts with transparency and procedural integrity. So what is my recommendation to you, since both the Mayor and the CEO chose not to respond? It's very simple. When the most supported option is removed from consideration, It undermines public trust and risk reaching statutory obligations. I urge this board to restore integrity to the process, reinstate the do nothing option, let the community voice be heard and not just collected. Thank you for your time. And if there is time for questions, I'll gladly take them if needed.
We've got time for one question from here.
I do have a question. Thank you very much. You refer to seeking legal advice.
I have
And I understand that you're not yourself a lawyer.
Correct.
Are you in a position to either table that legal advice for us today, or
No.
the name of the lawyer who provided you that advice? That is a serious issue.
Well, it is. That's a fair and reasonable question. I'd return that back to you, sir, and simply say your report before you is very silent on what I think is very serious legal considerations that I've identified. You have a team of counsel, you have a team of lawyers in council. Why has that not been identified? So no, I will not.
So you've answered the question. No, thank you, David. I appreciate you. Okay, cool. All right. Thanks for your time. So we've had Andrew Docking withdrawn. Paul Corwin. Is Paul here today? Welcome to the table, Paul.
A little bit like basically.
Yeah, and actually, just before you begin, I will say on that point, I haven't interjected so far because I think that what we've heard from the gallery has been relatively positive. It is strictly against standing orders for people to interject from the gallery. So I'd like to ask people to just remain in the gallery. I don't mind a few claps or whoops at the end of a speech, that's fine. But if we start interrupting the person who's talking, that's not acceptable. So just ahead of time. Sorry, let's begin. Yeah.
Paul Bowen's a name.
Yeah.
Sumner resident for about 45 years. And the Admiralty Cross had a different look prior to the current cross, clearly. And I never thought of it as a Christian symbol. I think there's been a lack of transparency from the Break Free Foundation, and a little bit of investigation will find that it's a cult adjacent.
We're not here to discuss the deed today, but yeah, the deed holder.
And I think the fact that they've gone in under the guise of promoting history is false. It's clearly a Christian cross. Dispute the fact that we are a Christian country. I have utmost respect for religion. I do not like the mix of government and religion or any state sponsorship of religion. For that reason, I think we need to be very troubled by this. The record of mixing the state support for any religion is not good. Think no further than Iran, Ireland, USA, Israel. It never leads to good. This is a bad precedent. What are you going to do when a Muslim organization offers to pay for a lit crescent somewhere? Hopefully you'll turn that down. So I would urge you to go back to what the Admiralty Cross looked like pre-earthquake. And then there's no question of it being a religious symbol. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Any questions?
Any questions? No.
Sorry, could you tell me what it would look like before 22?
Not like this. This is full of lights going up and down. It had lights at, I don't have a picture of it.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
It's the 1937 one.
No, not.
That's not the original.
No, that is not what it looked like in the 1980s.
Not the pre-earthquake.
Yeah, could you finish your explanation? Sorry.
Well, it had a few lights, but not, it was not obviously a cross. It never occurred to me that it was a Christian cross. Whereas now, but us, why did the Break Free Foundation pony up all this money? Clearly.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of off the table at the moment, but yeah, thank you for your time. Yeah. Okay, Alistair Hutchinson. Alistair. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, I've been entertained so far. The scope of this comment seemed to leave me plenty of scope if you would allow me to go as far as Brian, for example. You know, do be quite as humorous. I was brought up on Clifton Hill, overlooking the Clifton Beach and Cave Rock, so I'm very familiar with it. It's good territory for me, and we can ourselves some of these caretakers, so a sailor, and I know all about sailing this ticket. And what I'm simply saying here is, well, it's not anathema to anyone at sea. There is no relationship between life on the mast and nautical history at all. The entry to the car was banned by moving the board to the darkness. Here there absolutely no lighting allowed. Any sailor is blinded by lights, cannot see the waves, all they want to see is channel beacons and lighthouses, and be able to have full visibility, see other ships' navigation lights only, much darkness as possible. So it's very important to separate any suggestion that lighting has anything to do with mast position. When for the coronation of King George, it was ordered by London, came down in a letter from the Prime Minister to every local authority in New Zealand to light everything up you could. The Crown paid for it. Lights were on for less than a week. This is not 365 days a year. And also from the picture we showed, there is a crown on the bottom, and there's a crown on the top. No religious significance. Just separating. People want to have lights. Lots of people clearly from the submission like the lights, which creates a bit of a conundrum. It's important for the council to feel that that's separate from the local submission. And the conundrum was, this is a heritage site, a political heritage site. You get away with certainly fiddling around and putting lights on, just as that community agreed to for Christmas and Easter. You go 365 days a year, became open enforcement, very strong commitment with heritage purpose. And so that's quite a fundamental. If they fiddle with lights on the end of the walls, but you can't actually get away with the conflict between the responsibility of the council to protect the heritage value of the mast and decorating it with lights and things. And now we have a majority of people like them, so it becomes even difficult. I think just cutting to the chase too, and it's slightly outside the scope of the hearing, which I don't quite understand, but it's so limited. I think there's a problem with that in itself. I do not think you can have a religious trust running something and pretend that there's a religious cross, because why would you bother? Why would people put effort into something if it wasn't a fair and legal basis of the trust?
The deed holders complied with their lease, and we're going to have to leave that train of thought there. Yeah.
Anyway, not multiple questions.
Yeah.
Sometimes good heritage kind of moves with generations. So if you added lights, which many people are either happy with the frequency and the amount of lights, but quite a few actually, would like more added. So I know that you're saying, and without question, I'm not questioning the validity of what you're saying, you're actually right, that it was for a coronation to celebrate. But it seems so much more. We hear from the dippers that there are other people that when they come back to Summer, it's a kind of a warmth, if you like, of the community. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a bit of a desperate option in order to try and do things that the trust would agree with. The scope of the discussion was seemed to be very limited in the paper to only the sort of things that the deed holder would agree to, which is very narrow indeed. I think the appropriate measure is actually to reduce the amount of lights. If you can't reduce the brightness, fair enough, it's all right. But certainly reduce it back to Easter and Christmas, which is outside the scope, it seems as well. I definitely would have increased the number of lights because that makes light pollution. And it puts those in people's faces if people don't believe in it anyway. Sort of the option about changing the staple there, but I don't think take the bottom of the price up. If you're going to do that, I'd never extend it up to last week. So
We'll have to leave it there, but thank you for your time.
Thank
Cheers. Was on still tomorrow?
It was Alex. No, we're up to
Sigrid Campbell, Sigrid here. Sigrid Campbell? Oh, yep. There you are.
She's got some photos. I'll just take a moment.
Oh, yeah.
Sigrid, you shared some photos with us. I'm just going to bring those up. So.
Well, thank you for grateful for to my community for visiting the appropriateness of this.
Oh, sorry, Sigrid. I'm going to ask you to start. Would it be possible to speak up a little bit?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, do your best, and well, yeah, no worries.
I have lived on all my life of 78 years in the same house, a few hundred metres from Cave Rock, on the lowest slopes of Clifton Hill. My house faces directly east, with Cave Rock, the central landmark, framing my view of Sumner Beach and the Pacific. Social media has spread much information of the light's history. I know from memory in reading historical facts that for most of history there were no lights on the mast at all. However, over the last 50 years, pre-earthquake, some minimal lighting occurred. The Lifeboat Institute, during sea rescues, on my memory, ran an electrical cable with one light on the mast top and above the entrance to the sector station. Also, the mast was lit in a configuration of the Christian cross, especially to celebrate traditional Christian events, Christmas, Easter, and Anzac. The reason why I'm giving a deputation is my objection to, one, the permanency of illumination now for 365 days, minus Matariki, without public consultation. Two, the light pollution caused by the full angle of the Christian cross shining intrusively and overpoweringly high above Cave Rock, ruining a view of the dark night sky, which global research warns is being rapidly destroyed. Three, the inappropriate configuration of a religious Christian cross permanently on a highly significant heritage public site. Fourth, a change of deed from council responsibility to the Breakthrough Foundation, a registered charity, to specially advance religious activism was wrong and should never have happened. I have considered the process, but the two proposals the board has decided upon. Number one proposal, reduce the operating hours. Reluctantly, I agreed to the 1 September to 31 May, 8 PM to 11 PM, and 1 June to 31 August. A small improvement, especially during winter, less artificial light pollution to appreciate the beauty and natural silhouette of Cave Rock and Sumner Bay in the dark night sky. Number two proposal, change the configuration. I strongly request the lights are reduced with the change from a religious Christian symbol to a neutral configuration. I'm definitely opposed to extending the lights, as that would amount to even more artificial light pollution. It is historically incorrect to display full lighting to commemorate the maritime mast, as there was no lighting ever used. And I've got a picture of the 1864 when the Cave Rock had a mast which was lit only by bulbs. There was no electricity at all and no light.
No interruption from the gallery, please.
That's And now people want to celebrate it with huge, bright, glowing lights, and it was never like it. In conclusion, a compromise must be made for residents most effective to this light pollution every night. In order to reduce the excessive brightness, at the same time, change the configuration to an acceptable neutral image on the significant public icon, I suggest remove or install dummy lights on the vertical mast above the horizontal line. Also remove 2 lights at each end of the horizontal mast. This will resemble a smaller capital T shape that is neutral and stand for Te Wera in recognition of our Māori connection, plus still highlighting the man. Then during important Christian celebrations, Christmas, Easter and Anzac, the vertical lights can be restored and lit over those few days. If the existing deed holder will not agree to considerable change, the council should terminate the deed, regain ownership and restore the original traditional historic lighting to special events only.
Thank you, Sigrid. Have we got any questions from the board? No? Oh, I don't think so, but thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. So we're just going to take a minute to sort ourselves out with is there another presentation? Oh, is that what we got? Cool. Okay, Angela Woodward. Is Angela here? Welcome, Angela.
Hello everyone, I'm Angela Woodward. My ancestors came from Tulahiwi. I'm Whakataka Tahu and I've lived in Sumner for 16 years. Thank you for this opportunity to speak today about the lights on Te Wera. I want to raise concerns about the lights on 2 grounds: religious symbolism and erroneous claims of precedent. First, the representation of a Christian cross on public land. I strongly object to these lights and the configuration of a Christian cross on public land. Supporters claim that the lights simply illuminate the mast and are in the configuration of the mast's vertical pole and crossbeam or an Admiralty cross, as has been said. However, the current configuration is quite clearly a Latin cross in its dimensions. Historically, there were more lights on the vertical pole above the horizontal beam and balls on the end, and it did not have the Latin cross shape. I am further persuaded that the current configuration is a Christian cross and was always intended to represent a Christian cross and not simply mast illumination by the Trust's purpose to advance religion. New Zealand is a secular state with no state religion. Te Wera is public land. It is not appropriate to have a religious symbol on any public land, let alone in such a prominent place. While some might accept this, others in our community find this symbolism on public land disrespectful or even offensive. This is clear from the vociferous discussions about the lights on our community's social media pages and reports in the press. I don't feel that a final decision about the configuration of the lights should be weighted on the strength of support for or against them, but rather on the principle that public land should remain secular. I know of many who oppose the lights, but have not felt safe to voice their opinion, either online or in the consultation process, given the criticism they receive for doing so. People in New Zealand are of many faiths and no prescribed faith, and there shouldn't be the symbol of one faith or any faith so prominently displayed on public land. Further, I would argue that Te Wera is a special site of cultural significance for Ngāi Tahu. It's one thing to have a signal mast placed there, but quite another to add a religious symbol or to have daily illuminations in this special tranquil place. And with regard to the school shirt, my children go to Sumner School. It's not a Latin cross symbol on the shirt, it's a signal mast, unlike the way these lights are illuminated. Second, aside from the fact that there should be a Christian cross on public land, the lights do not even match the historical configuration, brightness and timing of their illumination. On the configuration, as I've just said, the historical configuration of the lights was different and not in the shape of a Latin cross. On the brightness, the historic lights were incandescent lights. The current lights are much brighter solar-powered LED lights. These cause much more of a nuisance to local residents and to wildlife. They're actually a form of visual light pollution. The potential harmful effects on people and the natural environment and wildlife were not assessed when these lights were authorised, and so that must now be taken into account. On the timing, the historical lights were only illuminated to mark special days and events. The current lights are on every single day of the year from dusk to 11 p.m. and are only turned off for Matariki, as they should be, on a voluntary basis. So where to from here? I support assessments being undertaken of the impact on wildlife and the specific residents who are affected in the area, and for action to be taken that mitigates the impact on residents who are negatively impacted. More generally, I would like to see the lights removed altogether. I personally don't take any comfort from them at all. I find them highly annoying and offensive. If that is unlikely, then they must be reconfigured, or just simply remove the lights on the horizontal bar for a more modern look. The lights should then only be illuminated for a few set days each year for celebratory purposes, but switched off to Matariki, and their brightness should be dimmed. Ngā
Got it. Got some questions? Any questions from the board? Tim?
We only had a consultation, so nearly 800 people support the current frequency of the lights and in the two areas that we're considering, and just under 700 when asked about the operating hours, support the current hours. So what is your...
They're kind of going with the status quo. The status quo before the lights were reinstated was nothing. So people, it's kind of a weighted argument here that people are going to vote for what they've got now. I don't support them being on every day of the year. It's only voluntarily switched off at Matariki. And I prefer to see them on once they're reconfigured for a much shorter period. And for just special days in the year.
Okay. Any other questions? No, thanks for your time. Okay. And finally,
Go to Andrea Davis now.
oh, sorry, Andrea. Yes, Andrea Davis. Sorry, thanks. Not finally, so there's a few more. Sorry.
Long meeting. Kia ora, I'm Andrea Davis. I am the current chair of the Sumner Community Residents Association. And thank you for doing this work. So in our society rules, we have to be neutral. We are not allowed to favor any religion or politics or anything. So we are completely neutral. And when I was on the committee, when this started, we basically went arm's length. This is a hornet's nest. And so, thank you. We are neutral and we heavily identify with the environment. We did some work on our values and we came up with the fact that everyone who lives in Sumner values that marine environment probably more than anything else they value. So today, actually, I want to talk to you about the marine environment where these lights are living. We have heard the complaints that came through to us first. We passed them on to community board, then you guys got them, so you've done your work. Thank you. I support the recommendation for fewer hours. Artificial light pollution at night is something that we're going to hear a lot more about coming into the future. I guarantee in 5 years' time, this will be a different conversation. It's not good for humans, it's not good for the birds, and it's particularly problematic for the little blue penguins who are trying to live along our esplanade. They
yeah. I'm not. We're not going to have any comment from the gallery.
So
I will ask you to leave if you're making comments from the gallery.
These animals can't come to you and talk about this. They're silent, and there's other people in the community who are silent as well. But those penguins are nesting from May to June. They molt. They can't go into the ocean. They're very vulnerable. They can only live in this tiny little part of land between the sea and these rocks. That's it. Then they can just leave and go up the hill. So what they do is they wait outside in groups for the darkness to run across the sand and get to the nest. So that's what they do. So this is why we are messing with a lot of coastal animals when we create more light on the coast. So I support the reduction of hours. I really support the reduction till 9 p.m. So what you'll find in Sumner is there's not a lot of people out after 9 p.m. unless it's the weekend, and then they all drive out and they hang out on the beach. I bike back from town meetings quite a lot and I see the lights. And I go, oh, there's the cross, and then I'm past it, 30 seconds, that's it, that's all I have. But there are people who are, it's literally in their living room all night, every night. I go down to the beach, I walk the dog, but I'm on Scarborough and guess what? It looks like a straight line. Doesn't look like a cross at all. So it totally depends where you're looking at it from. So I support the reduced hours, please, please, for the animals. And I also support the reduction, well, the configuration, either reduction or extension. Now, the extension will cost a lot of money. I don't think we should spend any more money on these lights. Reduction, yes, to potentially a straight line. The article I read about this going back when these first were put in about the deed holder. And it was about the nostalgia of coming to Sumner as a child at Christmas time and being like, wow, there's lights on the cross at Christmas and Easter. How exciting. Well, guess what? Kids these days, they don't get that. There's no thing special about Christmas and Easter because we just run these things year round. So I do feel that we are stealing something here. I think we want it to be special at Christmas and Easter. We want to have lights on the rock. So why don't we just light a mast and then at Christmas we put the bulbs, tighten the bulbs up, get the cross back, Easter, get the cross back, Anzac. It would be really nice. Anyway, and if the deed ever does, I'll put it to our committee meeting next week that if the deed ever came up and you needed a neutral party, but we are environmentally focused. We are not a group of people wanting to further anything.
Okay.
But we are for the community.
Thank you very much. I think we probably, I'll have to call it there just because we were late starting the timer, so apologies for that. But yes, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Cheers. Okay. Next up, Tony Pengelly and Monique Bond. No worries, we'll wait till you're ready. Questions? Okay.
This passport up. Printed off some photographs of the cover of the Shoreline magazine, 1998, which shows the configuration of the lighting, how far it goes, how bright it was, and that was pre-existing the earthquake. So I represent the deed holder. My foundation, Breakthrough Foundation, is my group, my foundation, and we sought. I'll put these back to you guys, because we sought to ensure that we were consistent with the pre-earthquake light, and have done everything we can to achieve that. But because at the time that we put them up, the winds were such that we couldn't extend them right up to the edges, health and safety issue. So, good afternoon, board members, council staff, and members of the public and media, and those online too. So, regrettably, we're all here this afternoon as a result of the overreach of Christchurch City Council staff and a minority of last year's Linwood-Heathcote Central Community, sorry that's a bit muddled, board members, which met last year. My team and I have been engaged in a 6-year process with the council and board to ensure the restoration of the historical cave rock nautical mast lighting installation removed after the earthquake is established. As you can see from the photograph of the 1998 cover, we've done our best to replicate the pre-earthquake configuration and brightness of the installation. It has been an ongoing battle to ensure that this part of Sumner's and Christchurch's heritage is not lost and is restored as historically, authentically as possible. I'm an ex-history teacher. Yes, I'm also a Christian, but I'm an ex-history teacher. I love history, and I was also a volunteer at the Sumner Historical Museum, which is when I started this whole process back in 2019. So over the 6 years we've been working on this, we've faced an inordinate number of obstacles and have been bullied and intimidated at times by some council staff to change the terms of our deed of agreement. The community consultation process that has been carried out has been a shameful waste of ratepayers' money, and the council has demonstrated this by producing a report which completely disregards the 84% of public respondents, also known as a supermajority legally, a legal term to describe a majority over 75%, have stated clearly they do not want any change to the current lighting installation. For council staff to make recommendations which exclude this very clear mandate suggests hidden agendas, predetermined outcomes, and political and ideological biases by some council staff and board members, previous board members of the other group. Significant pressure has been applied to our group to accept Sarah Templeton's proposal at the last board meeting of altering the configuration of the nautical mast to a plus sign. The council's attempted negotiations have been completely in line with Sarah Templeton's proposal. In our view, this is completely historically unacceptable and aesthetically absurd. It's a privilege to be here to represent decades of Sumner residents, the elderly of which don't often participate, in my view, in such a process as the consultation. Also, there are a lot of people who express on Facebook page, which wouldn't have been involved in the consultation process, who have demonstrated on Chris Lynch's very well-written articles on the matter. In my opinion, and I think the legal opinion, it's incumbent on this board to support the community vote, the majority vote, which is what the council said they were endeavouring to discover. They've heard very clearly from the majority of respondents. We must honour public opinion and deliver what they've so clearly asked for, both through costly and wasteful consultation process and through media, social media, Facebook pages, posts. As a bit of personal background, I was born in Sumner.
Just got 10 seconds, sorry.
Oh, 10 seconds. Oh, don't. She's got the legal stuff that you're asking about before.
That's all right. I should probably
Have one sentence, sorry. Yeah.
Well, essentially what I did was I had a look at the deed, and it's a legally binding document between the council and the foundation. And there is provision there that if there was something to discuss, there is a clause that any dispute needs to be resolved. But the foundation does have clear legal rights under it. So this consultation sits outside of it. I also had a look at the legislation that you were relying on, and from the consultation process, what you have proved is that the council has discharged its obligations under the legislation perfectly legally correctly. We've got an 80% majority for that decision. There's nothing in the law that allows a retrospective review of a decision that's made legally correctly. So in actual fact, what you've done is you reinforced the decision of the council when they entered into this deed that they did the right thing. So in terms of that, the next step actually is to comply with the deed and go forward with the deed. And so that's my recommendation, otherwise it's ultra violence, which is what Mr. Lynch was trying to advise you.
We don't have time for questions, sorry, Kenny. Is it very, very important?
It is.
Okay,
All
right.
Just, okay, I guess, and sorry, I do want to be really clear. Look, I understand that this is an issue which has lots of different views in the community, right? So one of the things that has been discussed is that alteration in terms of the hours of operation. What I would find helpful to understand is what's your view on the alteration of hours of operation.
Well, I'm speaking to the foundation. Once we've done our legal review of the deed and its obligations, and it protects the rights of the foundation, and there's a process that the council need to follow under that deed. And the legislation, unfortunately, unless you can produce sections of the legislation of the local government that shows that you can review retrospective decisions made willfully and legally by the council, I don't think you can, but you can prove me wrong. I've asked the foundation what it considers its legal and enforceable rights to be, and it considers it to be status quo. So that is what Mr. Lynch was trying to advise you with. In actual fact, status quo should be on the table. And so taking it off the table, it's actually technically a breach of the law. And the foundation has rights and.
Okay. Thank you, that's very clear. Thank you, sorry. Right. Jump in June or just?
I wouldn't mind 2-3 months.
Okay, all right, we're gonna have a quick toilet break. What's the time?
26.
Returning at 5:26, we'll reconvene at 5:30.
Back on. Okay, fine.
So I'll ask everyone to take a seat. We're back online. Once we've got some quiet. Guys. All right. So I just had a bit of a mistake in the agenda. We've missed someone who submitted for a late submission for a deputation off my list. So apologies to Mike Hawke. But did you want to come and speak to the board now? And then I've also remembered that Alistair, who wasn't here, is Alistair here now? He was on my list at the start. No, okay. Mike, take a seat, and then we'll have staff report.
My name is Mike Hawke. I'm the Anglican minister at St John's Woodstown in the Channel Islands. I minister for a year at Sumner Redcliffs. I live at Redcliffs, so I've got a vested interest in this on a number of fronts. Firstly, though, I'm sure you would like to admonish Leslie Murdoch for not sorting out our rugby team. The team, you're doing well, but Leslie, we need you to sort out that rugby team before this weekend. Now, I come to you just looking at those two aspects of the dilemmas. The brightness. Sumner Redcliffs is littered with bright lights. And for me, they represent mostly joy. But next door to where I live, we have a security light. Because you know what? People in Christchurch are afraid. They're fearful. So they have bright lights. And it's sad, but that's a reality. And up our way, there are red lights and blue lights and pink lights, long configuration. And so I put it to you, if council defers to this demand, then your people are going to be running around Christchurch trying to turn down lights everywhere because there are so many bright lights around. So I can't quite see the significance of this as has been raised, other than the animals and the birds, which is not in my purview. Secondly, the configuration. And it seems that it is a cross-like figure. Don't think we can get away from that. And to remind you that the first sermon preached was in the Bay of Islands in 1812 by Samuel Marsden, that Christianity is an incredibly important aspect of our history and our culture. The cross, if you see it as a cross, is a symbol of sacrifice and love. And I rejoice in that symbol. It's part of our heritage. I love it that the Sumner rugby team on the crest has got a cross. Other players offended. Will they not play for Sumner any longer because there's a cross on the crest? Crosses are part of the monuments in Sumner. The chemist shop in Redcliffs has got a cross. I took my grandson out from school today at St Martin's, and in that public property of St Martin's in the pharmacy, the T on the saint is the configuration, undeniably, of a cross. But more significantly for me is that New Zealand country roads, about bends and bridges, are littered with crosses. Now, these crosses represent the tragic death of loved ones. And the people who put the crosses up are not religious necessarily, but they are sad and they are upset and their lives have been traumatized. And they find great comfort, yes, on public land, to whack up a cross. And yes, they might have bottles of beer under it and a few other amazing symbols, but isn't it significant that they have a cross? Are you going to deny that of New Zealanders, that they can do this? Because it brings them comfort. Now, that is offensive to Muslims and Hindus. I know and few, and they berate me for not being strong in my Christian faith. They are sending their kids to Catholic schools and church-based schools.
Sorry to interrupt there. Can we keep the topic focused on the configuration of the lights at the moment?
No, finish with the lights.
Okay, well, in that case, are there any questions from the board?
This is about the member mentioned about how offensive it is to Muslims. And I'm saying that Muslims.
Okay, so offensiveness or not of the lights to Muslims is actually not part of the report, the scope of what we're talking about here today.
I'm not.
No, it's not it's not really a sort of a debate situation. You're here to talk to the board about the report that's being made here today. So, yeah, I appreciate that's how you feel, but please keep your corridor focused on the scope of the report today.
Well, it's one of the objections about the configuration is that it's a cross and it offends non-believers. And I'm saying that non-believers, parents are sending their kids, Muslim kids, to faith-based schools. So it's a bit hollow, that argument.
Yeah. All right, we'll leave it there.
Okay.
Please continue.
Right.
I've got a few more, final thoughts.
Yeah, democracy in New Zealand is great, and it's nice that we can come here and debate this. And it's important to listen to everyone, even vocal minority. And a number of speakers, I hope you've heard that in the background there of we mere non-political people, that there is an increasing realisation that it is very easy in a democracy for a vocal minority to hijack the agenda. Yeah. Amidst amazing information of how people think. And I think that's a concern. Finally,
we'll have to leave it there,
Mike. Love to meet anyone.
We're out of time, sorry. Yeah. Thank you for your presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we've got the report, the staff report on the cable lighting. Sorry, yeah. We're at the conclusion of the deputations today. What was that, sorry? Inviting staff. So we're inviting staff forward, Maria Adamski, and yeah, cool. And I'll just remind the gallery to remain respectful during this conversation. Otherwise, I will adjourn and we'll sort it out. We'll leave that there. Yeah, or else. Yeah.
Sound like my mum.
Just to confirm that I'm not being from the legal section.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay.
Hello, Aubrey, and good afternoon. You have a presentation?
Yes, I'll just bring it up. Give me a moment. Restart the presentation.
Yeah. Sorry, we're just having some technical things going on. It's good to take a beat.
So the purpose of is to report back to the community board about the outcome of the consultation and to provide information for a decision to be made to wear a cave rock lighting. I'm going to run you through a little bit of background on the mast, and then we'll move into the results of the consultation, and then we'll move into the things that need to be considered before we'll take some questions. So the signal mast was erected on Cave Rock in 1864. And black ball-shaped markers were put in various configurations and were used to signal the state of the bar for coastal ships to enter and leave the estuary. It was 34 years later that in 1898 that the Stone Pilot signal station was built, and it was handed to the station pilot, Joseph Day. The station housed the balls, provided shelter to the pilot, and also the form which called Sumner lifeboat to the lifeboat when they needed to go out to sea. So the pilot stopped working in this in the signal station in the 1920s. But from 1919 onwards, that has been debated mainly through the press by the local residents to light the mast. And it was first illuminated in 1937 for the coronation of King George VI and Queen Elizabeth. And this was on May 12th, 1937. The Sumner Borough Council at that time, it was only supposed to be lit for the day, but they extended the time it was lit till the 23rd of May. The second illumination was in 1953. And
So I'm just having some challenges with the PowerPoint. Is it? That one? Oh, no, sorry, sorry, I interrupted.